Reggie Aloysius Miller Jr. III, the Hall of Famer. He'll be calling Final Four games in Dayton, Ohio, March 19th. And Reg joining us now. Good morning, Reg. I don't know if you saw this report that just came out from Bleacher Report with Rick Bucher. Apparently, Jeannie Buss was so upset with Rich Paul for leaking the Anthony Davis trade talks that she contemplated trading LeBron James.
Well, does it mean if it's in print it's true? I'm sure that story has some legs to it.
Should they contemplate trading LeBron James?
Absolutely not. It's almost like trying to trade Michael Jordan or trying to trade Magic Johnson, Larry Bird.
But if I said you could get Anthony Davis right now for LeBron, and you're the Lakers,
and you keep Lonzo Ball and all those guys, you're in the same position. You're in the same position, maybe worse.
No, you're younger, and now I can get a free agent to come in there. I think I got a better chance of getting a free agent with Anthony Davis than I do with LeBron. And I got Anthony Davis, who's, 10 years younger than LeBron. It sets me up for the future.
Love Anthony Davis, one of the best and top 5 players in the game. But let's face it, too, he's also brittle.
Yeah.
He also gets hurt. I mean, you take away the groin injury from LeBron James where he missed 18 games, where at the time they were currently sitting 4th in the Western Conference. They missed 18 games, and we all know what happened after that. Barring that injury, think about his career. He's played in, 95% of his games? Can you say that about Anthony Davis? I love the talent of Anthony Davis. But does Anthony Davis get me to 8 straight NBA Finals? I know coming out of the East, I get that. But does Anthony Davis automatically get me to the NBA Finals? LeBron James does. I'm sorry. No, absolutely not. I would not trade LeBron James for Anthony Davis, and it makes me a better team.
Do you
think? I know the shelf life of LeBron, I know is limited now. He's 33, 34, and he's only got so many good years left. But they're only a piece or two, probably 2 pieces away. The key is, can LeBron and Pelinka get those pieces? Personally, I do not think so. But I don't think they can get that with Anthony Davis as well. So why not keep the best player, or let's say he slipped. Let's say LeBron James has slipped. Let's say Kevin Durant has taken the mantle. Let's say Giannis Antetokounmpo has taken the mantle. Okay, well, LeBron is still the top 3 player in the world.
Yeah, but I got to look at the bigger picture here. Do you think the Lakers will go to the Western? Do you think they'll go to an NBA Finals while LeBron's there?
If they get 2 of the pieces I'm talking about, if they were to get, let's say hypothetically they get Klay Thompson, and they're not going to get Anthony. They're not going to get Davis. Let's say they get Boogie Cousins. No, Klay Thompson, and they need a big. They need a good big, and I just don't know what's out there. So, no, I don't see them going to the NBA Finals, not in the West. Not if Golden State keeps that team together, which I don't know, the way they've been playing lately. I don't know what's up with the Warriors. So, but it's a lot more competition out West. And he knew this coming into that.
Yeah.
This is not the East.
Yeah.
It's not the East.
I know. Talking to Reggie Miller, did you watch the Duke game last night?
I did.
All right.
I did. Of course, everyone had to see Zion.
Do you
Zion.
Do you think Frank Howard of Syracuse was trying to trip Zion Williamson?
I looked at this from different angles, the same angles as everyone else. Again, we don't know the intent. We don't know what's in a young man's head. But looking at it on film, yes, it did. But again, I don't know intent. I don't know what's in the man's head. I really don't. So you're asking me did he intentionally try to trip Zion? I can't answer that. Looking at the film, looking at the tape, I say yes.
Barkley was on yesterday, and he said he would take R.J. Barrett over Zion Williamson.
That's why Charles is in Atlanta and not working in the front office. I love Charles, and this is his job is to push the needle, but he's absolutely for organizations, you need players to put fans in the seat. That's what Zion Williamson does. I know everyone wants to say, well, what position he's going to play. I'll find a position for Zion, okay? I'll develop his game. Zion will put people in the stands, not only at home, but on the road. R.J. Barrett is fantastic. He'll obviously be a lottery. He might go right behind Zion. But if I have the number one pick, I'm absolutely going with Zion Williamson.
Yeah. I agree with you. Like, I'm not worried about this whole, well, what position does he play? You know, Barkley didn't have a position. I mean, there's certain guys that they played basketball. We got caught up in, you're a 1 and you're a 2 and you're a 3 and you're a 4 and you're a 5. That's all changed now. And
Look
plus,
at our game. Absolutely. You are 100% correct, Theodore. Our game has evolved now where you've got centers who primarily shoot three-pointers now, as well as power forwards. Dirk has changed the game because of that. So you look at Zion, he can play anywhere he wants because he can handle the basketball. We know what he can do at the defensive end. If you look at Duke's numbers while he was out, how they plummeted because he was the last line, that pack line defensively, and we know he's an unbelievable finisher in the open court. Is his jump shot suspect? Absolutely. But that's the last thing. That's the thing. That's the one thing he can always work on. As much as the MVP this year is going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo, how many threes has he made this year? 3, 5, 7? I mean, we know that he scores 18 points a game. 18 points a game in the paint. 18 of his 29 points are scored in the paint for Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that Zion Williamson can do that?
Well, plus the floor is going to be spread because you got all these three-point shooters. So now I have him with more room to be able to maneuver to get to the hoop. So it might be an advantage to have him in today's game where the floor is spread. You know, Durant doesn't shoot threes. Like, he's comfortable with the 18-footer. I think Zion is comfortable with that, but he can also get to the hoop with that size, that speed, and that athleticism. You know, I'm not worried.
Ben Simmons won Rookie of the Year last year and was an All-Star this year, and he's 0 for 15 from threes in his career.
Yeah.
And he's an All-Star. And he hasn't taken an outside shot probably since his LSU days. Okay? So am I worried about Zion Williamson and his lack of outside shooting? Absolutely not. I'm trying to put people in the seats. Love R.J. Barrett, love Cam Reddish. But those players, I look at the G League, and there's dudes down there that can do what they're doing right now. You look at the G League or around the league, you tell me how many players are doing 360s through their legs and finishing like Zion Williamson. None.
The Russell Westbrook situation, I know it's easy for us on the outside to say you can't engage with a fan like this. But, look, you were a poster child for this where you had fans who were coming after you, certainly in New York. But how tough is it when you hear something, and sometimes there's a go word that's said, and you know you can't say it? Because we all understand that Russ, what he did, and you could be frustrated, you can't threaten fans. You just can't. And you can't threaten a woman here. So I'm surprised he got off easily at $25,000.
I think what both sides did, the league finding Russ $25,000, you could be right. It could have been $50,000. It could have been $100,000 because of the threat towards the woman. But I like the response, obviously, by the Jazz by banning for life any event, basketball, concerts, whatever, that goes on in that building that this fan is not a part of. I've absolutely heard everything under the sun directed towards me, towards my teammates, some racially motivated, some family. I've heard it all. There's been times when I've wanted to go into the stands and absolutely respond. I absolutely see where Russ is coming from, but you can't.
Yeah.
You just can't. Now, what I would have done is when this guy was saying all that, I would probably told the usher, from what I understand he did, to remove the guy, get him out of here, and they wouldn't. What I would have done, because he was on the bench, I would have walked up to the court and called a timeout. Everyone would have looked at me crazy. I would have called all my guys over. I'm the captain. I'm the leader of this team. We're not playing. Let's go to the locker room. I'm sure Carlisle, Bird, all my coaches, Jack Ram, they all would have looked at me crazy like, what the hell is going on? This dude, this is what he said because people backed it up. This is exactly what he said. I am out of here. We are out of here until this dude is gone. I guarantee you in a nanosecond that thing would have been handled. Or you go to the official and say, get him out. I've done that a lot of times. I've gone to the lead official and say, this dude has crossed the line. Yeah. And I know you don't want me to go into the stands and clock him, and I know you don't want the headache of that, so you better handle it or I'm going to handle it. And most officials will get the guy out of there or the lady out of there. But you can't respond by saying, I will F you up when you've got camera phones and microphones everywhere running. But I get it because I've heard it. I've been a part of it. But you can't respond that way. You let other people handle it, and if they don't handle it, you take matters into your own hands in the way I just explained. Call a timeout and saying, we're out of here. And everyone will look at you crazy like, what do you mean we're out of here? This dude is out of here, or we're back in the locker room.
Paulie brought this up yesterday. Steph Curry or Kevin Durant, right now, you could only vote for one. If they stop playing right now, and you can only vote for one for the Hall of Fame, and I believe they're similar age, 31. Who gets your vote?
Oh, God. That's very good. But Steph has changed the way we see basketball. You have to pick up Steph Curry 50 to 55 feet, even before he crosses half court now, almost three-quarters court because of that range. He's changed the way you play high pick and rolls, movement without the basketball. Kevin Durant's a freak of nature at 6'11", 7 feet, long arms, being able to handle the basketball. Both are freaks of nature. But Steph has changed the way youth basketball is played. Maybe sometimes to the detriment, because every kid now thinks that they can shoot threes, right?
Oh, no, I've been there.
Right?
Yeah.
Think about this. When kids go, think about when you and I were a kid, Dan. When the game started, everyone started with layups now, right?
Yeah.
You know, get in your layup lines and start layups to get warmed up. You walk into a game now, kids, as soon as they get onto the court, what do? They run to the three-point line. That's not Steph's necessarily his fault because he's so good at it, but he's changed it towards that because all they see is the highlights of Curry through the legs, cross back, double, step back, three.
Yeah, that
was Steph Curry.
That was my answer too. And I've been accused of not appreciating Kevin Durant. I do. It's just
I do.
I think Steph Curry is somebody that we'll look back on, and there'll be 4 or 5 players where you say that guy came in and he was different. He changed the game. That guy came in, he changed the game. And Steph Curry is certainly one of those guys. Yes, Paulie. Did you have a hypothetical?
No, we were just talking about how tough of a question that is because there's no wrong answer.
Yeah. By the way,
there's not a wrong answer. But think about this: Steph one year had 400+ threes, and another year, the next year he came back and had 300+ years. My best year was 221, and I believe that's when they brought the three-point line in. And this dude is doing 250+ to 300 threes a season like it's nothing, and shooting almost, 42, 43% from three-point line. It's ridiculous what he has done.
I also brought this up with Barkley, where I look at James Harden, and I do think he's underappreciated. I don't know why I say that, but I marvel that he's such a dangerous three-point shooter, beautiful stroke, but that ability to take contact and get to the hoop, he's equally as dangerous from three or going to the hoop. And there are not many guys that you can say that in NBA history. And I know with the advent of three-point shooting, and now it's widely accepted to take 15 in a game. But can you think of somebody who has that ability to be that great from that deep, and then even dunking on people, taking contact? And it's a short list, I'm guessing, with,
It is a short list, and I can't, off the top of my head, think of someone, and on top of that, being left-handed. I think that's what sets him apart as well. But this is the uniqueness of James Harden, because from here on out, especially now that he's an MVP, we're going to start judging him by playoff success. And I know last year they got to the conference finals, and they lost in 7 games to the eventual champion Warriors. But I don't care what he does during the regular season. This year, he's certainly 1, 2, or 3 in the MVP voting again. We all know about the 30-plus game streak he had going on, second to Wilt. Now that Chris Paul seems to be healthy, they're clicking. Things are right. I don't care about all that because now I care about, can Chris Paul stay healthy in the playoffs, which hasn't been the case throughout his career, and can this brand of basketball where it's 25 dribbles, step back, travel 3, can that be a winner and get you to the NBA Finals in the Western Conference versus your nemesis, a team that's, beat you or knocked you out of the playoffs in the champions in the Golden State Warriors. So I'm only going to judge him by playoff success now. He's earned that for me. I know what he can do during the regular season. I want to see this type of mentality, scoring, dominating games. Let's think about, and Paulie can pull this up. Let's pull up his playoff numbers. Not very good.
No.
I want to see this type of James Harden in the playoffs.
I'm glad you're back. We were worried about you.
I was a little sick. Got sick after that Portland game. Had a little stomach flu, but I'm back. March Madness is around the corner. How great is this? There's one team that everyone's going to be watching, obviously Zion Williamson and Duke, Coach K. Every team. Who's going to be able to beat them? Will it be a Cinderella team to beat them? But it's wide open. I mean, Kentucky could go out the first round. I mean, Gonzaga could go out the first round.
I know.
I mean, it's
crazy.
It's wide open. We could have Houston. We could have Nevada. Teams like that could make the Final Four if they get hot. Single game elimination, spring training baseball. Everyone's gearing up for the NBA playoffs. This is truly I'm on Theodore, Dan Patrick, and my Danettes. This is the best time of the year, people. Wake up. Wake up.
And I'm glad you enjoyed the interview with your sister on Undeniable.
Okay, now I know you're my boy, and I love you, and I hit you, and I said this, but I want everyone to know this. If you have not watched Undeniable when you interviewed Cheryl Dean, it was arguably the best interview I've seen, not necessarily because it was my sister, but you brought out things in her. Because as athletes, a lot of times when we sit down in that chair, there are certain things you want to get out there, and there's certain things you're trying to suppress. You don't want to come out. You brought everything out. You brought every emotion out. And I hit you and said it was the best interview I've ever seen someone do on Cheryl. And you took her there. So it was fabulous. I love you. You're my boy. And a lot of times I give you stuff about certain things. But in terms of interviewing people and doing your research and bringing it out, you brought it out. You brought it out.
Thank you, Reg. But I was interested on how you thought I handled it because, it's delicate because we're talking about your mom, talking about your dad. She's emotional.
My dad's tough. My dad was tough, and you're right. Look, she made you cry. You had to reach over and get tissue. She had you tearing up.
I know.
And it's funny. You don't want to repeat the circle of life. It's funny. I was at my son's. He's in T-ball. Right, baseball, and my dad was so hard on us, and I'm watching him, and you have to take a step back. I'm not going to be that dad, and there's times for it. There's times to be critical, but I let him do what he needs to do what he wants. He needs to find his own path. I'll give him every instruction if he wants it. If he comes to me and asks me what, but until that, I can't do it.
Yep.
And it's not an indictment on my dad because that's how most of us have become and gotten to the level where we are now. And I think Cheryl highlighted that. But there's other times when you just need to be a 5.5-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old, and just, have fun.
Glad you're feeling better, and we'll check in with you next week. Thank you, Reg.
Theodore, you're the best. Danettes, I love y'all. March Madness, baby. Let's do it.
That's Reggie Miller.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.